So, you're about to play your first pub gig. Or maybe you're looking to get your first pub gig. Maybe you've been jamming in your room thinking about maybe making a go of this music thing. Or maybe you've been playing a few open mics. Or maybe, just maybe, you've even been out busking. And now you're ready to step it up and play a gig. A paid gig. Pub gigs can be the bread and butter for most working musicians. And there's good reasons why. They pay, they're great for performance experience, and who knows? It could be the start of something a lot bigger. So let's talk about how to get one, everything you need to know about playing one, and maybe a few reasons why you should really consider it.
Okay everybody, my name's Ben. I go by August Radio Project online. I'm going to play some songs that you might know, you might not. Feel free to listen in. This first song will be a bit of a sound check. If I'm too loud or too quiet, then you let me know. Thank you. Sunday morning, she woke up 5 miles.
First up, how to get a pub gig. Before walking into your local and asking the manager whether you can go and rock the place out this coming weekend or whenever they're available next, there is one thing that I recommend you do. One very important thing. Get yourself a YouTube channel or maybe another relevant social media site. Film a video of you playing a song, or preferably a couple of songs, to as good a quality as you can possibly manage at this moment in time, and upload it. Get yourself an example of what you can do that is readily accessible, so whoever's interested in booking you for a gig has some evidence that you can actually do what you're professing to say that you can. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. If you're a busker, then just film yourself playing a few songs out in the street. Angle your phone in such a way, make sure the sound's okay, even if it's just putting it on the floor or maybe getting a friend to help out. The same can be said if you're playing open mic nights. Film your set at the open mic night. Have some example material of what you can do. If you want to take this to expert level, then I recommend buying yourself a website domain under your relevant artist name and putting up some kind of electronic press pack, what they call an EPK. Maybe your example videos up there, maybe a little biography about who you are, what you've done, where you've been. If you have any kind of musical CV of previous gigs, even if you just write, I've played parties and weddings before. If you have a set list already together, you could put that up on there. The point is here is you need to have some evidence. There's no good just telling a bar manager that you can do all these things and them have no idea whether you can or not. These days, it's very easy to show your work, so make sure you are. So now that you've got your example work up online, maybe you could even get some business cards or flyers printed so you can hand them to people who are interested in booking you for shows. Make it as easy as possible for them to find you and what you do. So now you're ready to go out there and finally get some paid work. How are you gonna do that? Well, we'll start simple. Walk to your local pub or a pub nearby, check if they put on live music, and then tell the bar manager that you're interested. Give them your business card or flyer or link to your video. Take their number, or maybe they take yours. Sell yourself, but don't oversell yourself. And then wait for that call, baby. Hey, are you free tonight? Yeah, we've had a musician dock out. Yeah, do you reckon you could play 8 PM? All right, brilliant. It'll probably go something like that. The second thing you can do is start playing open mic nights. A lot of open mic nights serve as that venue's testing ground for their live music. It's not uncommon for the promoter of an open mic night to also promote the music at said venue. So if you go up there and do your thing and impress them and they like who you are and you have a good vibe, it's very likely you'll then be offered a pub gig or a gig at that venue, whether it's a pub or club or bar. They're also great for networking with fellow musicians. It's not uncommon to be playing an open mic night with a fellow musician who's on the pub circuit who can give you some contacts and advice. The third thing you can do is find an agency or live music management company. There are a fair few of these that go around these days. A lot of live music venues, bars, pubs, clubs here in Brighton, the live music's organised by agencies. I belong to one here on the southeast of England. Pub managers, bar managers, landlords, they've got enough on their hands. The last thing they need to do is be booking all these musicians. So they outsource it to an agency or live music management company. You can find these by searching for them on the internet. sending them a DM or an email telling them you're a musician, and then sending them your link to your page, to your video, to your example work. Brilliant. You're on the books. Agencies are a great way of getting regular work because they'll work with lots of different pubs and bars in your local area, and they usually have you on rotation. That's certainly how it works here in Brighton in the local area. If you're looking for that regular paycheck, baby, good option.
Is it too loud or too quiet? Is it okay? Okay, good.
The only thing you do need to be aware of is the agencies usually take a small cut of your fee, which means you don't get paid as much as when you've sourced the work yourself. The fourth and by far the best way of getting pub gigs that I found is busking on the street. I've made an entire video about how to turn busking to paid gigs, and I'll link it somewhere on the screen. I've always found busking to be the best way to get paid work because you're consistently promoting yourself whilst you're out there playing on the street, and inevitably when you're getting out there you're going to be seen by some kind of landlord, bar manager, someone that's looking to put on live music at their venue, at their pub, and they'll ask for your number. And what you're going to do is send them your link, give them your link, your business card to that video, to that example work. What's great about busking though is they've seen you play and they've met you already. So they know you're sound, they know that you're a nice person, they can see you've got all the gear you need, they can hear that you've got the set list, the negotiation happens and suddenly you have a gig. Even the agency I belong to because the dude that runs it saw me busking. Busking is the answer, baby. That's why it's one of my stickers. You can get the sticker pack at augustradioproject.com/shop. Why would you play a pub gig? Why are they so great? Well, for starters, they pay. They pay well. If you love performing music and you're quite happy to do a couple of hours playing music in a pub, you can easily get a 3-figure sum, and there is nothing better than having a rad gig with lots of sing-alongs and all these people singing your praises and telling you that they're really impressed with that set, man. And then waking up a few days later to see that the invoice is cleared and your bank account has suddenly got some money in it. Not to mention that if you live in the UK, Europe, Australia, Canada, America, then it is very likely that within the vicinity of where you live there is at least 2 drinking establishments that put on live music of some description, so you can get regular work doing it. There are even places that offer residencies where you get consistent work. Some people even go on ski resorts and cruise ships and do the same. The possibilities are endless. You want a full-blown music career, it's much easier than you think. Literally the entire point of my YouTube channel at the moment. They're also a great way to develop performance skills, stage confidence, and your repertoire. There is a reason that the Beatles cut their teeth in Hamburg playing like 8 hours a day for 2 years or something. Each member testifying that as the reason they got good as a band. And a pub gig will throw all sorts at you. So your skills will be far and wide. It will make playing something like a theatre a breeze. I promise you. I know. So a quick bonus, what you might need. Before you go and book yourself your first pub gig, you are going to need a bit of equipment. Most pubs, at least the ones I've played, you have to provide your own. So you're going to need some kind of speaker, PA system. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, anything fancy. You don't need to go and get yourself a 16-channel mixer and maybe hire an AI robot sound technician. Something like the Mackie Showbox is ideal, but even something slightly less, something slightly smaller, still going to do the job. The main thing you need is volume. Anything less than 100 watts is going to get iffy. So I would make sure you have a nice powerful speaker. Unlike busking in the street, you don't need to worry about power. You will be provided power. Unless you're living in the dark ages, most pubs these days have some kind of plug. You'll also need other bits like mic stand, leads, all the usual stuff. I'm sure you already have all those things. As said, nothing fancy. I know plenty of people who play pub gigs with the Boss Street Cube 2, Roland Cube, Samsung Explore, anything like that. Perfect. What to expect from your first pub gig? Time to get into the meat and potatoes of this video. A pub gig is not your standard gig, depending on your definition of a standard gig. Prior to busking regularly and playing these kind of pub gigs and being more of a working musician, I toured in a band for many years, 8 years. My old band would play gigs at venues, typically where there's 3 or 4 bands on the bill. Everyone there has bought a ticket to see one or more bands that are playing that night. Maybe they've already checked you out, maybe they're already a fan. Your set will last anywhere between 25 minutes to an hour, and you play almost exclusively originals, and your task really is to work the audience, make a big impact, sell yourself as artists. Despite it being that you're playing music in front of people, a pub gig is an entirely different skill set. Skills that still apply to both, but nonetheless an entirely different skill set. In a pub gig scenario, you usually play for about 2 or 3 hours, maybe with a little break. The atmosphere in a pub, unlike in a venue, it changes from minute to minute. You never really know what's gonna happen and when it's gonna happen. Sometimes you're just the background music to people having a quiet night, maybe some dinner, where you're lucky if they even clap when you finish a song. And then in a second the atmosphere changes and you're surrounded by hen do's and stag do's who are having the best night of their life, singing every word to every song that you play, even if they don't know them. You're leading a all-out, all-pub sing-along to Teenage Dirtbag. And then the next minute you're back to playing to a man and his dog at the bar who couldn't give 2 paws whether you were there or not. It means you need to learn to be flexible within your performance. It means you need to be ready to switch that energy at any given moment. Adaptability is the key word here. So what are the main differences between other gigs and pub gigs? Well, first off, the set list. The set list is a nice obvious one. You're likely to be playing mostly covers. There are room for originals, but the main thing here is to play some songs that are going to engage the audience. They're gonna give them a good time. The performance itself. The thing to remember is, in a pub gig scenario, it's unlikely that anyone in there has come for the music. Most people have gone to the pub for a drink and maybe to socialise. You are a bonus element to their night. As the musician, you have to acknowledge this as part of your performance. You can't expect all eyes to be on you, and you must not take it to heart when people don't care, when people don't applaud after every song. Acknowledge that sometimes you are just going to be the background music. But then you also have to be adaptable enough to hit into one of your secret weapons when the time is appropriate and get an all-out sing-along going.
Thank you.
I've also found that pub gigs are like many gigs in one. Unlike playing in my old band where the performance was gauged on how well the crowd reacted across the whole set, a pub gig can just vary so wildly. Unlike a traditional performance where you build the set up and your kind of crescendo is at the end, in a pub gig scenario, the crescendo can be wherever and whenever. Sometimes you start off and you get a rowdy bunch come in, you play 3 or 4 songs, it's the craziest gig you've ever had, and then suddenly you're back to the man and his dog at the bar. You're right there, mate. Woof woof. And then suddenly you're back to rowdiness, and you have to be ready for it at any moment. The crowd interaction is different. Sometimes people will sing along, sometimes they won't. People request songs, they love requesting songs. And yep, sometimes they completely ignore you, as if you're not there. The last key difference is the energy shifts, as I've already kind of highlighted. Putting everything all in at the very start can mean you're knackered by the end. But similarly, saving your good bits, your highest energy to the end can sometimes mean you've reserved all the bangers for a dead pub where they've already called last orders and it literally is just the man and his dog. Maybe at this point the man's even disappeared. It's just the dog. You've got to learn not to be offended when people don't care and learn not to be too worried about how it went. If there were moments of gold, great. If there were moments where it was chill, great. If it ends on a chill, great. If it ends on a rowdy sing-along, great. In that originals gig band scenario, it was always the ending of the set that mattered most. You wanted a big crescendo. That's where you wanted to know that you'd won the audience. Whereas at a pub gig, that's not how it works. And you've got to be okay with that. That's cool. That is just part of this game. Talking of that, let's talk set list then. What should your set list look like for your pub gig? Well, the most important thing is to play some covers, preferably ones that people are gonna know. You already know the ones. Do I really need to spell them out? One rule of thumb that I've always had, and I apply the same to busking, is make sure, regardless of what you think you should play, make sure that you like the songs. Don't just play things because you think, well, everyone knows this one, but I hate it. You don't have to play Wonderwall. You really don't. If anything, it's probably better you don't play Wonderwall. Energy matters. Even in a pub gig scenario, it needs to come across that you are having a good time. That is what's going to ultimately mean the room has a good time. Give off your best energy. If you're not giving off your best energy because you absolutely hate half the songs in your set list, then I don't reckon that bar manager is booking you again. Make sure you enjoy it. You pick the cheesiest, most well-known songs, but make sure that they're ones that you like. Don't pick the ones you think you have to, even if you hate them. Amongst the well-known covers, I recommend putting some unexpected gems. What I call unexpected gems. These are your more niche songs that will turn a few heads, a few unexpected moments. A little grin of, I didn't think he'd play that, or I didn't think she'd sing that. I love 90s, early 2000s punk rock. Green Day, Blink, Sum 41, The Offspring. So I dot these songs in my set list. And I must say, these are usually my favourite moments of any kind of covers gig, when I share a connection with someone that clearly has a very similar music taste to me. I also think it's important because if you're playing a pub that has live music every week, the local folk in that pub have probably heard Hallelujah every week for the last 30 years. You can be the one night where that isn't the case. And even their dog will turn around and go, woof-de-woof. He just played Red Hot Chili Peppers. Rad. I do think you should play originals. If you've got originals, dot them in. You might not want to play an entire set of originals. Maybe if you're just doing the background music thing, that could work. But if you've got them, then put them in. If it's a quiet moment, this is a great time to rehearse them. It's also a great time to practice putting them in amongst some well-known covers and seeing the vibe. If you've got some ideas for some crowd interaction and you're having a particularly rowdy moment, it can be great to slot an original in and tell the crowd what to sing back. I also think you get a lot of respect from people when they realise that you are an originals musician too, and maybe you're on that plight. People want to know. People want to have found someone before they got famous. It's a very common theme in these pub gigs. They want to be able to say, oh, I saw them, I've got their first CD. Lastly and most importantly on your set list are what I call secret weapons. These are the songs that you know for sure are gonna go off. As and when the time is appropriate, you're gonna drop a secret weapon and the place is gonna erupt. These are songs that you have to hold for these moments. You can't really plot them on the set list. You don't know when you're gonna play them. They're the Teenage Dirtbags, the Oasis, maybe the Hallelujah. The big songs, the ones everyone knows how to sing. Get a few beers in them and they wanna roar. So Sally can wait. That kind of vibe. And that leads us nicely on how to deal with drunk people, my friends. You're playing a pub, a bar, a club. Most of the people in there have had a few drinks, unless you're like me and you're teetotal and have been for 8 whole years. Sometimes drunk people are fun, sometimes they're a total nightmare. We'll call it crowd control. It is part of the working musician's job. First off, be friendly but firm. You can be firm with a smile on your face. You don't have to get aggressive. You don't have to lower yourself to any bad energy. You can have a joke. If you get heckled, you can laugh it off. Remember that a lot of the time, drunk people don't actually realise they're being annoying. It hasn't registered. They're not intentionally trying to annoy you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. It's nice to have people up here. You're so far away.
So don't get mad at them and don't let your energy drop. I always think if someone's being very insistent, they're heckling you, they really want you to play this song, you don't know it, they're giving you some stick for it, carry on with your plan. Keep playing your set. Don't deviate. Just smile, carry on. Let them be the drunk heckler in the room. The man and his dog will know. They'll be like, oh, heckler again. If people are being really annoying and really negative, then it's not your job. It's the bar staff and the security to sort them out. Your priority is to play music. Read the room. Read the room. If the room is looking like it needs to go wild, then go a bit wild. If it's getting a bit too wild, tell the room to calm down a bit. Reduce the tempo, control the energy. You do have that control. You're the one with the microphone and the instrument. And if it gets really bad, as I said, talk to the staff. If you need to yell out, can someone please remove this drunkard and his dog? And do so. Do so. Don't be afraid. Paul McCartney famously said about the Beatles' time in Hamburg that it's the best training ground. And I have to wholeheartedly agree. If you play these types of gigs, and even busking too, it makes anything else you do feel so easy. As said, with these theatre shows I've been playing recently, it's crazy how smooth things are. And it's good to start with that training ground, 100%. It's also good to remind yourself and go back and play those pubs sometimes. A burning question that a lot of you might have is how much should you be expected to get paid for a pub gig? As I said, they pay well. In relative terms, it's nothing to turn your nose up at, should we say. It will depend on how long you're asked to play for, the length of your set, but we can use the musician's pay rate guide as a rough estimate as to what you should get. They state that you shouldn't be looking at anything lower than £83 per hour of music played. So if you're playing for 2 hours, then you want £160 odd minimum. Most of the pub gigs I play ask you to play a 2.5 hour set, and you can take a little break, maybe 15-20 minutes during that time. Some have been slightly longer, some have been slightly less. And I usually go in for £250. That's my rate.
My name's Ben. Thank you for coming up and listening. I appreciate it so much. It was looking like a little quiet Friday evening for a second there. I do, if I can play them.
Green Day?
Yeah?
Guns N' Roses, I was gonna say.
Play plenty of Green Day. Any Green Day Blink songs I can probably pull.
Sometimes I get a little more, and I always make sure to add on any travel in there. The agency gigs I do pay a little less, as said, because the agency take, but they do get me gigs much more regularly than I do myself. Some places might offer you less, some places might offer you more. Don't be afraid to negotiate. Remember, do not undersell yourself, and do not undersell music as a whole. You represent all of the musicians that are looking to get paid to play music, not just yourself. You're also not asking for money just for the time spent playing songs. You've got to get yourself to and from the gig. You've got to be there for a certain amount of time. You've also got to bring all your equipment, strings, leads, mics, things that are gonna break eventually. They're gonna need replacing, and all of that time you spent rehearsing, it needs to be accounted for. So do not, whatever you do, undersell yourself. Make the idea of the broke musician a thing of the past. Music is as much a trade as anything else. Anything else. And that, my friends, is all you really need to know about playing your first pub gig. They are a lot of fun, and they really are the working musician's bread and butter. They're a great place, at least to start. And they're a great thing to do as well as something like busking if you're looking to make a career out of this trade. They pay well and they pay regularly, especially once you get yourself going and a few of the venues know who you are. Get yourself a little rotation. You return every couple of months to each one. Some working musicians I know will play 4 a week, and that is all they do. They're also great for promotion if you're looking to promote yourself as an originals artist. And quite often they lead to more paid work, like weddings or parties or functions. Maybe you're even looking to get a residency and go further afield and get yourself a cruise ship gig. Travel the world, maybe go on a ski slope tour or whatever you can find. There are many opportunities out there, my friend. And lastly, you will build up a wealth of performance experience that will translate to all sorts of gig scenarios. And it might even lead to bigger career opportunities like session work, songwriting, publishing deals, record deals, who knows? There are many, many well-known artists that started out on that pub and club circuit, including the Beatles, the one and only, and even August Radio Project. Woo!
What's made you game? What's made you game? Thank you.
Any embrace?
Embrace? Yeah. What do they sing? Oh, what they sing?
My pub gig the other night was good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Honestly, you've been amazing. You've literally, we came in there, there's no one in there. You've been entertaining us. It's been f***ing amazing. That's great. You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I reckon 5 years from now, I'll be like, I met
I hope this video was helpful and I hope you got something out of it. Maybe comment below if you're a regular pub playing musician with your favourite, most profound pub circuit story. I know you have some gems, because I do. I definitely do. I've witnessed some hilarious moments playing pub gigs, so share yours below. And if you're a newbie and you're thinking of playing your first pub gig, then any other questions, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer them, as probably will some rad fellow musicians who have watched this video. Like it if you did, subscribe if you're new around here. If you want to leave an online donation, there is a super thanks button. I also have a Patreon page for those feeling extra committed. And I want to thank every single one of you that already are a Patreon member. Honestly, I could not be more grateful. It's so freaking cool, dude. In exchange for a monthly donation, you'll get some exclusive content in return. I also have an album out, it's called Keep Showing Up. It's rad. You can buy it from my shop as a CD or a digital download or both. If you buy the CD version, you get the digital download with it. Thank you for watching yet another Monday video with me. I upload every Monday, so if you click subscribe, that's a bonus. There's always something to eat your dinner and watch at the same time. Peace, love, and happiness, and see you next week.